The NBA playoffs are a great time-honored American tradition where we can all come together to yell at our TVs and complain once again that so-and-so got injured or what's-his-face totally choked at the line. But the key takeaway is that we are coming together and we are watching. This NBA playoffs opened with its most watched opening weekend in 11 years and its most watched opening weekend game in 20 years. Now, putting us back on track past the COVID bubble and those protocols and exposures that we had over the past 2 years and back to this sense of normal that we once had in playoff basketball. So we want to go over some of the big headlines that the playoffs have given us, starting with why Americans are back to their TVs after a decade plus of lower ratings. And for that, we called in sports analyst Eric Mitchell.
We're out of COVID. We have fans in the stands. It makes a difference, right? We spent 2 years with either zero fans. Remember the bubble of 2020, which was zooming in zooming in NBA playoffs. And then last year it was limited, right? Some states were allowed, but a lot of these teams didn't have fans. Now it's full house, screaming. People are into it. And the NBA, just like all the other sports, has done just an amazing job to keep us entertained, to keep following these storylines, right? The Lakers not making it into the playoffs after LeBron almost guaranteed it. It's just fun to watch it, and these are great teams. These teams are young and exciting that we've watched the last 2 years develop into these amazing squads that are out there right now.
Let's talk about our next headline. It's about players on the injured list, including Ben Simmons, Chris Middleton, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, and the list really goes on. And the headline within the headline, Reggie Miller goes off on Ben Simmons. Come on, man. Out of Game 4, when it was rumored you were going to make your debut, this dude has zero competitive fire. As small a chance as the Nets have to come back in this series, you still have KD and Kyrie. All you need is to win one game and take it from there. Hashtag man up.
You have a unicorn team like the Pelicans, who they had to go through the play-in games. They've just had all the new additions with CJ McCollum being traded from the Trailblazers, joining this team. And that team is the sleeper, the unicorn that is taking out the Suns, who everybody had going to the Western Conference Finals. Devin Booker being injured is huge. He's out of he's out. That hamstring injury is going to take some time. He's been out. Then you've got, the new one that happened this morning with Zach LaVine going on the COVID protocol list versus the Bucks. These injuries are bad. And Joel Embiid, that is a huge game changer. A thumb injury for a center and an aggressive player like that. It's changed the dynamic of the 76ers game. James Harden really needs to step up. And Ben Simmons, where do I start with Ben Simmons? Was going to play, not going to play. Now doesn't have to worry about it after the Celtics pulled out the broom on the Nets and sent them packing.
Which brings us here. We can't forget about the pitiful postseason the Nets had, especially with the headline, eliminated Nets suffer first round sweep, losing to the Celtics 116-112. They were actually the odds-on favorite to win the championship when the season started.
Remember at the beginning of the season, we were all on, I believe I was on with you telling you everybody's overhyping that Laker team, right? In 2014, the roster would have looked amazing. In 2022, that roster just looked like a bunch of old guys running up and down the court. It's the way that they hyped this Brooklyn team the same way. They just didn't come together. They tried to put all these pieces, and it tells you how much Ben Simmons is like a circus coming to these teams, and it's very heartbreaking to see a team that looks good on paper. A team with Kyrie, who I love Kyrie. Kyrie's the big reason why the Cleveland Cavaliers won that championship a few years ago with Braun. Now you look at this team and there's like no reason why they shouldn't win. They just got outplayed on a court, and I think they believe their ego would carry them along the way.
And finally, we got to talk about it. The third Splash Brother has arrived. Let's talk about Golden State and why the boys in SF are shining bright. Jordan Poole's shooting has pundits calling him yet another Splash Brother, joining Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And now that they're healthy, people have even been comparing them to the championship team just a couple of years back.
Love Steph Curry. I love the Splash Brothers having Klay Thompson, the swagger back. We miss the Warriors. And how can you not love Steph? Steph is fun to watch on the court, and he plays hard, and he really has this young talent pool that we watched for 2 seasons as Klay was injured and rebuilding this roster for Golden State. Everybody said when they woke back up and came together and gelled for a couple of years, they would be an unstoppable team. And that's what you're seeing. And the other team I was going to mention is the Dallas Mavericks. They're a scary team now that you see the Suns falling out of the way. They play this run and gun style. The Jazz now are suffering through another injury with Donovan Mitchell. I think those are the two teams that'll end up getting to the top of the pyramid on the Western Conference side.
And here's the thing. Going into the season, the Lakers and the Nets were the betting favorites to win it all, but both teams didn't even win a single playoff game. The field is wide open once again, maybe a chance for the Bucks to repeat. But one thing you can always count on right here, winning every single time. More LX right after this.